How's your day going, bro? Smooth? What you interviewing for today?
I'm doing a childcare assistant.
Childcare assistant? Okay, how'd you get into that?
So it started with my mom being creating her own school because she likes a different type of education style, which is Montessori.
Okay.
And so she created her own school.
Yeah.
And I helped her teaching the kids, especially with English, because the school was in Mexico.
Okay.
So I helped the kids learn English, and I took care of them.
That's really cool. It's called Montessori?
Yeah.
That's really cool. And she has her own school in Mexico?
Yeah.
How many students are over there?
It's about 100. This is
100
only
students?
preschool.
Oh, really? That's really cool. That's awesome, man. How's it been as you were helping out?
What's
that experience like?
It was a little bit stressful because of like they're like 4 years old.
Yeah.
But as time went by, I learned to have more patience with them, and it was easier to manage everything.
Yeah. What do you feel is like like something you enjoyed the most about it though?
I enjoyed when the kids were being creative. I enjoyed seeing like their ideas. They're just developing their ideas, because that's something that's gonna stay with them as they grow up.
For sure. What do you feel like is something when you grew up? Like what's something that stayed with you, or something that you've learned growing up as maybe a young kid, or maybe a childhood memory, or something that stood out to you that you feel has maybe shaped who you are today?
It was staying out of my comfort zone, because as I grew up, I had to move a lot, and so I wasn't in the same place all the time.
Yeah.
And so I had to learn to talk to different people with different backgrounds, with different lifestyles.
Why'd you have to move so much?
Because of my dad's job.
Oh yeah, military?
Nah, it's
just moving around. That's what's up, man. As far as like, being outside of your comfort zone, were you speaking mainly of having to meet new friends all the time, or was there other things that got you out of your comfort zone as well?
It was mainly having to talk to different people, meet new friends.
Yeah.
But it was also switching between countries, from Mexico and the U.S.
Yeah.
So I had to learn a new language, and that was mainly what made it the most different.
The having to talk to different people in different languages? Yeah. And how many languages do you know?
English and Spanish, but I'm learning German.
English and Spanish and German? Out of all the places you've traveled, where did you like the most?
I like the most probably Maine. Because some people say it's boring, but I like that we stayed at a house where there was no Wi-Fi or anything, and at first I thought it was gonna be boring, but it was actually really cool because we camped, we stayed late at night, we went around the forest just camping and stuff. We went canoeing, so it was very different from anything that I have experienced.
Yeah, so you guys are outdoors. I like that, bro. I feel like that's something in our world today, as far as the youth and just the world in general, stuck on their phones. You know what I mean? Having to need that social media and games and all types of stuff. So I'm very happy that you got to experience that, bro. What's kind of your plans following after high school right now?
So my plans are to go first to a 2-year college, to MCC, where I can get the general education. And then after it, I plan to go to CSUMB, where I can study music production.
Okay, music production. Why music production?
Because that's something that I like doing. It's something that I've been doing for 5 years, just making my own music and.
Like beats?
Yeah, beats, songs, lyrics, all that.
You recording all that? You have your own songs? That's what I do in life right now. I do music. I'm an artist. I'm a videographer, a coach, a motivational speaker. But my main source of how the motivational speaking, the coaching, the videographer even came into play was I got into music. What do you like the most about it? Like what inspires you? Who inspires you?
What I like the most is that I can express myself in ways that I wouldn't be able to without the music, because the melodies and the way that the lyrics are written, it's different from just talking. And who inspires me the most, I would say, is artists like Kendrick Lamar,
Okay.
or Kanye West, because they always make sure to push forward in their art, to always go that extra mile to
Yeah.
make it extra.
Yeah.
I like that.
Have you watched Kanye West's documentary on Netflix?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one, huh? Yeah, that was motivational right there. But you spoke about when you came in that you wanted to do child development,
Yes.
right? So it's kind of a little balance between child development and then also the music when you go to college.
Yes.
When it comes to getting a job for child development, what's some strengths that you have?
I am very patient. So when you're teaching kids, you have to be very patient.
Yeah.
Because they're just learning how to do stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's something that's very important. Then I just have a lot of energy. Like I'm able to, even though I'm not like always moving like that, I can stay motivated and have that energy for a very long time.
Okay.
So another thing is that I'm very creative. So I'm able to teach the kids and help them develop a creative mindset.
Yeah, that's very cool. What types of things do you do that helps, like, I'm a coach, so, patience and getting creative and getting the message across and having to adapt to different learning styles and age groups, like that's a difficult task to do. What types of things do you feel like you've learned or things that you do that's helped you become more patient and then also that's helped you become more creative or even maybe some creative things that you do?
So one thing that has helped me become more patient is actually meditation.
Okay.
Because you have to be more in touch with the present moment, and that's like a key to patience is the present moment. And so that's something that has helped me. And something that has helped me be more creative is putting my ideas down, whether it be through music, whether it be through drawings, or through journaling. That's also something that has helped me because I can understand my thoughts better.
I've been telling a lot of people that lately is the journaling. The thing about writing your thoughts out is you have to think. And I feel like a lot of people don't think enough. But you can't just write a whole sentence with just a bunch of random words that doesn't create a sentence. It makes you have to think and sit down and like comprehend what's going on. But that's awesome, bro. I'm glad you're doing that. How long you been doing that? How'd you get into that?
So I started journaling in 2020. The way I got into that was just I was trying to improve my life because back then I had a very negative mindset. I was very insecure. But then I started journaling because I just wanted to be able to look back at my mistakes and be able to understand what I did right and did wrong so I could improve. And so I started doing that when I was 15, 14. And I saw that also helped me clear my mind because a lot of people have a lot of stress because they have 100 things that they have to think about. But the journaling also helped me just clear my thoughts.
Yeah.
So
very cool, bro. I'm happy to hear that. Very impressed with this Marina High class. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. You guys all have really good mindsets. I love to hear that. Describe like a time in your life that you felt like you went through a difficult scenario or situation and you found a way to overcome it. How'd you overcome it?
Time in my life was recently. It started 2 months ago when my mom passed away.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And so one thing I haven't fully overcome that obstacle, but one thing that I've been doing is actually through the music because that way, for one, I can, like I said, clear my thoughts, clear my mind, and express myself. And also, it also helps me. It also helps with time because time goes by very quick when I'm recording or making songs. So that's something that has helped me.
I always see that when I'm writing and I'm doing videography or editing, time flies like that. When you do something you love, how time flies on. That's cool, man. The other thing too is the music that you're creating and all the things you're creating is gonna last a long time too. That's something that could last forever, and it could probably even help somebody with your situation because you're expressing yourself and putting your thoughts down, and it's just really cool how that might be relatable to other people's thoughts too. What types of things do you like to do outside of like school and music? What other things do you like doing?
I like going to the gym. I just like taking care of my body. That's something that I prioritize a lot.
Yeah.
Besides going to the gym is prioritizing my calories, taking care of the the protein, always making sure that I eat enough.
Yeah.
And also just hanging out with my family, going out on the weekends to new places.
Very cool. Very cool. What does success mean to you?
So success, I don't think it's necessarily money, fame. I think it's more personal. Like everyone is very different, or it can be different for everyone. But I think as long as you're fulfilled and happy, I feel like that's success. For example, if someone is a dad and they have a loving family, loving like a support from their family and their kids, I feel like that is being successful at life.
Definitely. That's awesome. That's true. What do you feel like makes you most happy in life?
It's, I'll say, improving myself, working on myself. That's something that gives me a lot of fulfillment, whether it be through working on my goals, whether it be through my diet, whether it be however, like just knowing that I'm improving in life and that I'm moving forward is something that gives me fulfillment and happiness.
For sure. Always can learn more. Always could grow more. Love that for you, bro. If you were a manager, or if you had a manager, what would be a characteristic or a quality that that person should have that could make them successful as a manager or a leader?
I feel like being able to understand everyone's ideas, having an open-minded mindset, I feel like that is very important to being a good leader, because that way you can understand others and you can lead better when you know who you are working with.
For sure. How do you feel like you handle pressure?
I handle pressure by being calm, by just learning to breathe and take things slow.
Yeah, for sure. What do you like about school?
I like the classes that allow me to be more creative, such as the piano class or the digital music class, because that way I can express myself and it clears my mind from the most stressful things about school.
For sure. Are you in that class with JD?
Yes.
That's the digital
music.
That's the digital music class. That's my really good friend. He invited me here today. So that's awesome that you're in that class. Well, what are like some future goals that you have for yourself? Maybe see yourself in 1 year, 5 years, or any. I know it's hard to see yourself that far ahead, but what are some goals that you have for yourself?
So to keep pursuing my goals of music and to make a career off of it, so that I can eventually make a living only off of the music.
That's really cool. What do you feel has been the hardest thing when it comes to being an artist or in the music?
It's being able to get heard by large amounts of people, especially when you are independent or not signed. It's harder to get your music out there, so I feel like that's the hardest thing.
In what ways do you do that now? Try to get your music out there.
Through promoting through social media, and not only through the music, but also creating entertainment outside the music that relates to it.
Yeah. That's why I got into videography, motivational speaking, coaching, because there's something about what you said is getting your music heard by a lot of people. It comes to how do I get my music in front of more people? Maybe being in front of more people. You know what I mean? Like, have you ever heard of La Russell? La Russell's an artist from Vallejo. He's a big advocate for independent artists, and he's a motivational speaker. I mean, he has his own businesses, but everything that he does, he runs through his team. He throws his own shows, he does all of it, he's outside. But there's something about networking and being outside and meeting people. So that's one big way that I found with my music that has been beneficial is I started creating motivational content. I started posting coaching content. And what that's done has brought more audiences to me. So now when I do post my music, they're already here. So that's a good thing that you said as far as finding other ways to get things back to the music. And when it comes to your creative process, what do you feel like is the most important part in that?
It's pretty much just letting all of my thoughts out, or putting all my thoughts down on paper, in a way in which people could be able to understand me the most. Sometimes it's not simply through the lyrics, it's the music, just letting people into my mind.
Yeah, that's very cool. This your resume right here?
Yeah.
Let's check this out, man. Who's some? You said Kendrick Lamar and
Kanye West.
Kanye West, man. Those are some good choices. How'd you come across Kendrick Lamar and Kanye West? What's like your first thoughts or earliest memory that you could feel from where you kind of came across them?
So with both of them, it started when I was just listening to rap, kind of like the most mainstream stuff. But then I started being more interested in what were considered the best artists or the best rappers. And back then I didn't know about Kendrick Lamar. But then when I started doing that research, I started hearing a lot about him. And so then I listened to his albums, To Pimp a Butterfly, and that's how I started. And then it was the same with Kanye West. That's how I started getting into the music.
Yeah. What do you feel like when it comes to music? There's the beat, there's melody, there's lyrics. What do you feel is the most important?
I feel the beat is the most important.
The beat?
Because someone can listen to a song that has bad lyrics but a good beat, and they can still listen to it, but if it's the other way around, they're not going to listen to it.
Definitely. There's artists that are really big that might not have the greatest music in a lot of people's opinions, and then there's people with really great music that don't have a lot of people listening. Why is that?
It's because the most popular music is the ones that's the simplest. Like if you look at an artist like Kendrick Lamar, his album that's the most popular is Damn, and I feel like that's his worst album because he dumbed the music down by a lot, but he had to do that if he wanted the music to be the most popular. And so I feel you gotta find a balance between good music and simple music.
Do you feel like he strategically did that? Like he knew that he was dumbing it down to try to get it to more people so they could understand and it could be his most prominent one? Or do you think that was just something he did and it happened to be dumbed down?
I think he did it on purpose.
He did it on purpose? That's big time then. So shoot, that's something that I would have to consider, making things a little bit more simpler. I think that's in life too, keeping things simple. Don't overthink it, right? Think long, think wrong, try too hard. I mean, that's a cool concept. When it comes to childcare assistant, do you feel like somebody, like you're very open-minded, do you feel like that's something that somebody is born with? Is that something that you learn as a kid? Is that something that you learned through experiences, or is that just, how does somebody become more open-minded? Because I feel like a lot of people aren't.
I feel like that's something that you gotta develop, and the way that I developed it was, like I said, moving to different places. Because if someone has only lived in a specific place their whole life, it's gonna be very hard for them to be open-minded to different experiences, different people, and different mindsets.
Yeah.
So you just gotta put yourself out there and get out your comfort zone to different places.
Yeah.
But that's something that people are not willing to do.
Yeah.
So,
Out their comfort zone. A lot of people don't want to challenge and take those risks because the unknown, the not knowing of what might happen, it gets scary. But when you have a vision and you trust your gut and all that, it could be beneficial. What matters most to you when it comes to, the educational system? In which ways could it improve, and what things do you enjoy about it?
It could improve by teaching students how to do something great, like how to do something big in life.
Yeah.
Because I feel like sometimes the education system puts people in a box. Like you have to do this, and you can't do this. I feel like it should be able to teach people how to dream big, how to think big, so that they can actually achieve things in life and be more successful.
Most definitely. In what ways could we do that?
By encouraging people to pursue their goals, maybe by helping them. Because when I was in 6th grade, I had a class that encouraged students to pursue their goals, and the school actually gave students equipment to pursue their goals, whatever it may be. Sometimes it was with students wanted to do a podcast, they wanted to do music, they wanted to do animation, and just encouraging people and telling them that they can do what they want to do. I feel like that's the most important.
Most definitely. Do you listen to any podcasts or read books or anything like that?
Not really.
Not really? You might enjoy that one. You should try to check some of those out. I got recommendations for you if you're interested too, because of the meditation and the journaling and the music and the thought process. I always feel the more we could be surrounded by creativity and open-minded people and large-minded people that think big, I mean, the more it's going to expand our mind. And like we said, we're constantly learning and growing. Who better to learn and grow from than people that have already succeeded or are succeeding in things that we enjoy? And there's people that are doing it. The answers are out there. So, or not even weaknesses. What are some things that you could grow upon and get better at?
Something that I could grow upon is I could be better at helping students, especially helping the kids work together. I feel like that's something that I could improve on, but it's also something that I have worked on improving because I remember one time, like there were two kids that had to work together because we had to work in pairs. They had to work in pairs, and they didn't want to, but I encouraged them to because they didn't like each other. But I try to find ways in which they could relate to each other, and that helped them work together.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's a hard thing to do. What questions do you have for me, or do you have any questions?
So, the question I have for you is, how do you handle, or how do you manage the hardest, like when you feel like everything was going up, but you feel like everything starts to go down? How do you stay persistent through those times?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. For one, I just talked about this on one of my little I do morning walk talks, and I post those on my social media for like my motivation or just how my mind thinks. And there was this concept that I just talked about on. There's more than one way to win the game. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm an artist. Yeah, I'm a coach. I'm a videographer. I try to stay inspired by something. I try to stay creative as possible and motivated as possible. And then those times where I feel like I'm unmotivated, you know, I try to think of the people that care about me, the people that want to succeed, that want me to succeed, or why I even started. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times in life, that original one that we have where we are going up and we're so motivated, so have all these big dreams and goals, and we have that vision and we feel that gut fire, and it's like, yeah, I think I'm onto something. That feeling right there, trying to stay and remember that feeling for as long as possible and stay as close to it as possible. Because a lot of times that's a fire burning within inside of us, and I feel like I've learned to realize that sometimes that fire could even go out. How do we relight it? You know what I mean? What other things am I passionate about? How did I light it in the first place? Why did I light it in the first place? And I try to remember those things. That comes from journaling and writing and constantly thinking and constantly having conversations like this. So I understand what lit my fire. And then a lot of times is if the fire doesn't go out, sometimes the fire even moves away from us. And a lot of people don't chase that fire. They just let it get away from them. I'm gonna go chase it. I see the light, I chase the light. So whatever inspires me, sometimes I feel like I'm inspired by the music. So I gotta go after the music and I gotta push that. But then sometimes that shit start moving away from me. And then I'm like, dang, I see it going over here and there might be kids or coaching. So dang, I gotta go coach. Maybe I get some inspiration and motivation there. Now I'm talking and having these conversations. I think more people need to hear it. So I get into motivational speaking. Whatever sparks my fire, whatever makes me feel good and makes me feel happy, that's what I do. I don't get put in no box. I don't listen to what people tell me. I listen to my heart. I listen to my mind. I trust my gut. You know, I have a strong faith. So, you know, that's what keeps me going, is everything keeps me going. Life keeps me going. You know what I mean? My family keeps me going. My friends keep me going. That's kind of what I figured in life. You know, there's never one thing. If music isn't my passion right now, then shit, let me go get inspired by something else, and that might bring me back to the music, or that might help my music because now I got something to write about. You know what I mean? Something to talk about. So I feel like that's something that's been very important to me when it comes to keeping my fire going up, or my motivation going up, or keep my fire lit. That's been big for me. So that's something that I've learned. Any other questions though?
So besides the ways that you mentioned, what are other ways in which one can develop their ideas?
How can somebody develop their ideas? I feel like somebody could develop their ideas by surrounding themselves with ideas. Being around people that have positive ideas. Being around people that, have those big goals and those aspirations and, are open-minded. That's why I asked if you listen to podcasts or read books, because those are what really open my ideas and expand my ideas. I see how somebody thinks, and that changes my perspective. And that is just because I see how somebody thinks doesn't mean that has to be how I think now. You know what I mean? I just see it from another view or another standpoint or another perspective. And if I see enough perspectives, as many as I possibly can, now I can see it from all angles. So now it makes the picture more clear. And now I could better choose which one I want to take. You know what I mean? I don't have to. I listen to everybody. We can all learn from anybody and everybody. Everybody has a story. Everybody has information. So I listen to as many people as possible, and I stay open-minded. Just because you say it don't mean it's right. Just because I say it don't mean it's right. But because you say it, I wonder why you said that. So now it helps me think with why I think this. And I put myself in other people's shoes. So I think the way I keep my ideas rolling is staying around ideas. Read books, listen to podcasts, have these conversations, stay around like-minded people, stay creative, continue to write, work out. I think that's the biggest one that you brought up earlier too. If we have a strong body, we have a strong mind. If we have a strong mind, we have a strong spirit. And then vice versa. We have a weak body, weak mind. You know what I mean? I get lazy, I got no energy. Now my mind is like, I might as well just chill. Now I might chill, now I might not feel good about myself. So that's my spirit. So mind, body, and spirit all gotta go aligned. And I feel like it starts with our health. Working out, eating good, because that trains us discipline and that gives us energy. And so that's how I kind of keep my mind and my ideas sparked too. Some good questions, bro.
One last question.
Yeah.
How do you think that I could find people that are open-minded? Because a lot of people aren't.
Yeah.
How would I be able to surround myself or make it easier to be with people who are?
That's another great question. That's actually a question, bro, that I've struggled with actually for a long time. So I'm originally from this area, and I lived in San Diego for a long time, and I recently just moved back maybe a couple years ago. And I had a really good job, and then I kind of got inspired by the music while I was at that job. Music kind of was going really good, so I ended up getting fired from that job because they wanted me to be focused here. After a while, I felt like being in this area, there was nothing motivating me or inspiring me anymore. I wasn't around like-minded people. I was doing a lot of things by myself. So that kind of like put me where my spark was going down. I'm like, man, I gotta get up out of here. Like, I'm not inspired. I'm not feeling motivated. I don't like none of this. So what I did to try to find out ways to be around those like-minded people, I started paying attention. I started getting outside. I started putting myself in situations where I felt like the things that interested me, that's where the people are at. I like music, so I need to go find where people that are doing music are at. I started going to more shows, more concerts. I started talking to people over there. I try to sneak backstage, which I'm very good at. You know what I mean? I'll finesse and I'll talk my way through. So I started getting backstage and having conversations with people, picking their brain. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, man, I'm very good at sports. You know what I mean? I feel like I have a lot of game. I've learned a lot in my life. Who's doing this right now in my community? I found one of my mentors that was doing this. His name is Mo Man, and he has his own facility where he's training people. And then I started surrounding myself with those people that are doing positive things in the community. And I feel like if you look for something, you'll find it, and that's good or bad. Anything you want in life, if you look hard enough, you'll find it. If you want it bad enough, you'll get it. So I started asking myself more questions. I had to look in the mirror. I had to stop feeling sorry for myself. You know what I mean? I know that there's answers out there. If I want to be around those people, I got to find where those people are at. You know, do I got to go to church because I want to improve my spirit? Do I got to go to be a coach because I want to help the youth? Do I got to watch podcasts from people that I like their mindset? You just gotta look. And it's hard to do because we live in a follower world. So because we live in a follower world, there's a lot of followers. But when you run into a leader, you'll notice it too. because it stands out, and then you can see the same flame. So just constantly be outside, constantly have conversations with everybody. The more friends, the better. The more people we could interact with, the better. And if it's not the same, then it's cool. Hey man, nice to meet you, bro. And then you just go about your day. But you have enough conversations, play the numbers game. Play the numbers game. Have as many conversations and learn like how you've been through your life. Keep talking to people because you're gonna learn something. You know what I mean? There was this one dude, bro. I was in Washington for a concert, and I introduced myself to this one artist. And the very first thing, I shook his hand, and he brought me in for a hug. Bro, I'm saying when he hugged me, that hug was like a hug I never felt before. Like he like wrapped you in and squeezed, like you could feel he's strong, right? And that hug like opened up my mind to like, damn, bro, I gotta get better hugs because now I feel that. Like I like that. So I'm also a person that steals and takes ideas and everything that I like in the world, and I try to mold myself into that. So every little thing, whether it's a hug, whether it's a thought, whether it's a quote, whether it's like anything, I take everything that I like and I just remember that and I take that as mine and I try to build on it. Anything that I don't like, anything that I hear or I see that I don't like, keep that away from me. That's not who I want to be. That's not what I want to be known as. That's not what I want to be remembered for. You know what I mean? So, but be a light. You know what I mean? If you can't find nobody, be that person. And which is another one of my walk talks. We all want good friends. You want a good friend? Be a good friend. You know what I mean? Anything that you want, be. You got to be that first. You want to find somebody that's respectful, be respectful. You know what I mean? So it's that too. So those are what I would say, bro. For those answers, those are really good questions. Just so we could get into this too, and we could talk some more. But you have a good head on your shoulders, bro. Like I would say, when it comes to this though, the other weird part about the world is everybody wants it the easiest way possible. Nobody's gonna sit and read through all this. You know what I mean? So when it comes to resumes, I would try to figure out your strengths because you have a lot of them. How do we figure out a way to shorten this? Assistant with lesson preparation, assisted in setting up classrooms before lessons by organizing materials, arranging learning stations, and ensuring all necessary supplies were available. It's a very long sentence and it could get complicated, even though like that is what you did and that is a strength. How could we figure out, and I'm not good at communicating either. This is when I was going through this process in college, I had a career counselor where I copied a lot of my friends' resumes and try to figure out, you know, like what kind of relates to me and put that on my resume. And I kind of just add a little tidbit here or there, and then I bring it to them, and then they'd have a very creative way of saying that. So, a very concise, creative way.
I actually didn't write any of this. I just used ChatGPT.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? And then ChatGPT or whatever it is isn't you. You know what I mean? So when it comes to resumes or like, you know, meeting people, look over this and find a way to rewrite that. Another feedback that I learned in the interview process is the more you do, the better. Don't be afraid of no's. Failures isn't who we are, you know, that's just how we get closer to success. So the more no's we get, the closer we are to yes. So never be discouraged by not having a lot of listeners, by not getting the job, you know, by whatever it is. Don't be discouraged by it. Just be like, okay, that's not how to do that. What could I do better and grow from it? So I did so many interviews over a certain amount of time where my first like 5 or 6, I was just like anxious, like a little nervous, and then the ones that I was doing, I had a career counselor that would set me up with those interviews. After the interview was over, they'd tell them what I did good and bad, and they'd be blunt about it. And everything that I was already thinking in the interview that I did wrong came up in that meeting. So I already knew. So that just came from experience, learning, and having to deal with the constructive criticism. And then by 6th or 7th interview, I was interviewing them. You know what I mean? I'm here because you said you were hiring and I feel like I'm a good fit. Like, but why are you guys a good fit for me too? So I just changed my perspective a little bit too, where it took away the anxiety and the nervousness. It's like, hold up, I bring value here too as well. So I flipped my mindset and perspective. That helped me in interviews. The last thing I would tell you when it comes to what I felt made my interviews really good was my follow-up. After the interview's over, I made sure I got their card or their information, like, you know what I mean? And then so after the interview, within like 30 minutes to an hour, I follow up, what did I like about it? Like, thank you for saying this, that made me think this way. Appreciate your time and thank you for the interview. Look forward to talking to you soon. The follow-up is really big when you do interviews too. So keep that in mind, I'd say. Just always be a problem solver. You know what I mean? You have any other questions or anything for me?
So what were the podcasts you mentioned?
Yeah. Oh, some of the podcasts, I'll write some down for you, bro. I'll write some podcasts down for you. But these are some people that I feel like really changed my perspective a lot. Jay Shetty has his own podcast, and you can just put podcast. And any podcast that Ed Milet does is good, and anyone that he's being on the podcast, like interviewed, his perspective, his thoughts is really good. And then my name is J2. I go by J2 out here. My name's Joseph, though. Yep. All right, brother. Where can we find your music at?
So on YouTube and on everywhere, pretty much.
Yeah.
But I kind of took a break from releasing it.
Yeah.
So right now, like the monthly listeners are like,
it's all good. But what's your name on there?
It's Gabriel, Gibrol.
Okay.
But I haven't been dropping. I'm gonna start dropping, but I want it to be a lot better because the quality that I had back then, like I was just recording it in my room.
Yeah.
With a like kind of cheap microphone.
Yeah.
So, but now I'm recording it with a much better quality, much better everything.
Yeah.
So when I start dropping again, it's gonna be it's gonna be way better.
Just continue to grow, like we were talking about. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to be Kobe Bryant tomorrow. You know what I mean? And keep shooting your shots. You know what I mean? That the other thing in music is, you know, everybody wants everything to be perfect. You know what I mean? Like, hey man, just go through the cringiness, go through those numbers, and you know what I mean? As over time, it's gonna continue to get better. But they're gonna come around at some point. But we don't do it for them. All right, man. Love you, big dog.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.